All rise. We will obey. The International Criminal Court is now in session. L'Audience de la Cour Penal International, 8 over. Please be seated. Veuillez vous asseoir.
Thank you very much. Court officer, please call the case.
Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, Mr.
La situation République du Kenya, dans l'affaire le procureur contre William Samuel Ruto et Joshua Arabsen. ICC 0109-0111. Nous sommes en audience publique.
Thank you very much. Appearances, are they the same or are there any changes?
The only change is that Mr. Steinberg is not present this morning. Thank you, Mr. President, and good morning, Your Honors.
Thank you very much.
The same, Your Honors. Thank you.
No changes, Your Honor, and Mr. Sang is present.
Thank you. Mr. Hooper?
And the Ruto defence is constituted in the same manner. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Donnan?
Assisting the witness.
Thank you very much. Welcome back, witness, and we are in open session. Ms. Ago, you will continue.
I will continue, Mr. President. I suggest that perhaps we might briefly go into private session to remind the witness of certain
Something's all right. We will go into a private session for that purpose then.
Thank you.
Nous sommes en audience publique, Monsieur le Président.
Mr. President, we're in public session.
Thank you.
Sir, to your knowledge, what was the purpose of this gathering, the gathering that we just mentioned?
It was to install Mr. William Ruto as the Kalenjin elder.
What do you mean by installing Mr. Ruto as a Kalenjin elder? What does it mean?
It means, well, self-explanatory. It is to install him as a Kalenjin elder. An elder is somebody who is respected, who is in position of authority, and who would more or less like speak on behalf of the community.
And what happened during this gathering?
Well, I don't know all the details, but of course it was a gathering. People came, and Ruto was there with other group of elders, and he was supposed to be installed as an elder.
Can you describe what you observed during this event?
Well, there were so many leaders who were invited or who were there. Many leaders spoke, and there were very many people who attended the gathering.
Who were these leaders who spoke?
There were various leaders, but mostly the ones I remember is Raila Odinga was there. Other leaders were Musalia Mudavadi and other array of leaders from across.
From across what?
From across the community and from other communities.
From across which community?
There were leaders from the Luya community, there were others from the Luo community. There were very many leaders. I cannot remember all of them.
And you also said that there were very many people who attended.
That is correct.
Can you tell us more or less how many people you observed attending this gathering?
Well, it was a huge gathering. I cannot, it was not like in a stadium where you can know the sitting, the sitting space, but it was just open ground and there were very many people. I cannot, put a figure to it.
Without necessarily speculating, could you please give us an indication whether the number of people were in the 50, 100, thousands? Could you please give us an indication?
Well, of course, I will have to speculate because I don't know exactly the number, but between 20,000 to 50,000.
And you said before that it was in Eldoret, but where exactly in Eldoret?
Yeah, there is a sports ground in Eldoret.
And what is the sports ground exactly?
Actually, the name is called Eldoret Sports Ground.
Yes, I'm trying to understand, is it a specific location? Is it a building? Is it an open space? What is it exactly?
Yeah, that's exactly what I said. It was in open space. The place is called Eldoret Sports Ground.
You said that some of the leaders who attended also spoke. What did they say?
Well, it was just ordinary sentiments of a rally, and of course, most of them were praising or had a lot of praises for the leader who was being installed.
What do you mean, ordinarily, sentiments of a rally? What do you mean by that?
Well, the event was installing of William Ruto as a Kalenjin elder, and most of the leaders were praising or had, words of praise for the leader who was being installed.
Was there anybody presiding over this event?
Well, of course, the gist of the event was there were leaders, specific leaders who were tasked to perform the installation. Otherwise, it was just a rally where, of course, probably there was an MC and just leaders speaking, and then they go to the installation part of it.
Sir, did you say that there was an MC? Or could you please spell the word that you used?
MC is a master of ceremony, like somebody who would coordinate or moderate the rally or the event. Of course, who was supposed to welcome leaders and to probably say who was there and to give the schedule of the program of the rally or of the event.
So was there an MC or not?
There was a master of ceremony.
Who was it?
I have no way of knowing who it was.
What was the language spoken at this event?
Yeah, it was mostly English or Kiswahili because it was a rally that everybody attended.
And these other people who attended, not the leaders that you mentioned or other leaders, but the other people who attended, who are they?
With all due respect, Council, I may not be able to be in a position to know who exactly attended the rally. It was a rally in Eldoret town. A lot of people came. I cannot be able to know who exactly attended the rally.
Do you know if these people attending were from a particular region or town in Kenya?
Well, for me it will be speculation, but because it was Mr. Ruto was being installed, I would imagine that a bigger chunk of those who attended may have come from the Kalenjin community and also the residents of Eldoret, the Luo community, Luya, Kamba, Turkana, Maasai, anybody who might have had an interest in attending that rally.
You mentioned that Mr. Ruto at this event was being installed as a leader. The leader of what or whom?
I said he was being installed as a Kalenjin elder.
And you also just mentioned that there was an installation part of this event. Could you please clarify, was it a separate event or was the same event that you attended?
No, it was in the same rally, but there were specific instances where there were blessings or special blessings from other elders from the Kalenjin community, which was done in a separate room within there was a building, and there was a next room where the elders went there to give special blessings for Mr. Ruto.
Which elders?
The elders from the Kalenjin community.
And did you attend? Were you present at this blessing in this separate room that you mentioned?
No, I did not attend. It is for few chosen people to give blessings. And it's a private ceremony done by chosen elders.
And how do you know about it?
I come from the Kalenjin community. I know their customs and traditions.
And what happened after these special blessings?
Well, Mr. Ruto and accompanied by the other leaders came back to the venue of the gathering.
Did Mr. Ruto say anything at this event?
Yeah, of course, after coming from the special blessings and having been now installed as a Kalenjin elder, he had his time to now talk to the gathering.
What did he say?
I don't remember the specific words, but I know he was talking about now that he was a Kalenjin elder, and he thanked and appreciated those in attendance.
Did he say anything else?
Beyond what I've just said?
Do you have any recollection of Mr. Ruto saying anything else that you just said?
I have no further recollection.
Was there any reaction to Mr. Ruto's addressing the gathering?
Well, as it was expected, of course, there was a lot of jubilation and you would say happiness from those who are in the attendance.
Did the other leaders who were present address Mr. Ruto or said anything after he returned from the blessings?
Yeah, other leaders, of course, still had, addressed Mr. Ruto and the gathering, insofar as now that he's a Kalenjin elder, and they were just full of praises for him.
And during this ceremony or this gathering, how was Mr. Ruto dressed?
Well, in Kalenjin traditional regalia.
Can you explain what is the Kalenjin tradition of regalia?
Can I just... I don't know where we're going on this, because I've certainly never had any notice of anything that Mr. Ruto was meant to say from this witness's statement. And secondly, the prosecution produced at an earlier point a video where we can see how he's dressed, for example, and indeed what he says. So I don't know quite where we're going on this. We've had no notice.
Ms. Zago?
On the point of notice, I respectfully direct my learned colleague to certain portions of the witness's statement, in particular.
Yes. I've had no notice of anything that Mr. Ruto is said to have said from this witness's statement. Perhaps you can confirm that.
But haven't we moved beyond that point, Mr. Hooper, about what the witness is supposed to have said? Ms. Zago, are you still questioning the witness about, if anything, Mr. Ruto would have said?
No, Your Honor. It was a natural follow-up question from the flow of the questioning. I believe it's uncontroversial if I ask a witness a follow-up question that is naturally following up from his answers.
Very well. There is...
I thought it was about what was...
Yes. So we've all done that.
This is going to be the highlight of this trial.
Yes. As I say, we've all done that at some time in our careers.
Are you right?
Thank you, Mr. President. I am.
Yes.
The point, Mr. Hooper, was that, if I recall, was the question about how Mr. Ruto was dressed, and at that point that you rose.
Yes, and I rose in respect of speech because I've had no notice of that, and it was several questions asked on that. And secondly, in respect of dress, I'd merely underscore this at this stage, that the prosecution are aware that they've got a video of this ceremony clearly showing what Mr. Ruto is wearing. And I wouldn't want them to, as it were, be in a position of misleading the court.
On this subject, the witness is clearly in a position to provide further explanations, as is just mentioned, concerning the Kalenjin tradition, which obviously the video and the images cannot explain or contextualize. Therefore, the witness has knowledge, he comes from a specific community, and he will be in a position to assist the court in understanding what the dressing means.
Proceed.
Thank you. Sir.
Go on.
I asked you before if you could explain what is the Kalenjin tradition of regalia that you refer to.
Well,
the traditional regalia that you mentioned, that's what the lawyer is asking about at this stage. If we can just focus on that.
You're saying the meaning of the regalia?
First, if you can first describe it, and then we take it in stages.
Well, of course, I've had the counsel say that they had a video of how it was treated, so perhaps she will help me to know exactly, but there was a shield, animal skin, and a spear with the head. There was the head...
headdress?
Headgear, yeah, put on the head.
Anything else?
No.
And what is the meaning of this regalia that you described?
Well, traditionally, it's always worn by elders in the community.
And this would be the Kalenjin community, correct?
That is correct.
How long did this gathering last?
It was a day's event.
But did you recall how many hours it lasted?
Well, if I can recall, it started probably at 10 a.m. in the morning and ended around about 1600 hours.
What was the end result of this gathering?
Well, it was a fact that Mr. Ruto was installed as a Kalenjin elder.
And what was the meaning of that?
That Mr. Ruto was now officially an elder of the Kalenjin community.
Mr. President, with your permission, could we go to private session, please?
Yes, we would witness. Was there feasting on this event?
Well, I'm not sure, but I'm sure people had some meals to eat. I don't recollect that properly.
Well, this business of making speeches alone, meetings. We'll go into private session.
All rise. We will be. Please be seated. We will suspend.
Thank you very much. Ms. Sago, we're in open session. Do you wish to continue in the open or go back in private?
Private session, please, Mr. President.
We'll go back to private session.